Good morning, Mom. So this is the continuation of our report entitled The State of Environment and the Natural Resources of the Philippines. So first, we have cadastral survey. So what is cadastral survey? So a cadastral survey is a comprehensive land survey used to define land ownership boundaries, helping in legal land documentation and proper land use. So the main highlight is to completion of surveys nationwide. So the project has completed in all 1,634 cities and municipalities across the Philippines. So from 1913 to 2009, only 46% cities and municipalities were completed. So 54% cities and municipalities were still pending by 2009. From 2009 to June 2015, the remaining 54% were completed. By June 2015, the entire country, 100%, all 1,634 areas was surveyed. Survivors and land engineers using surveying equipment like geodesy. So next we have computerization of land and survey records. So Philippines improve land records by using computes from the year 2010 to 2015. Before 2010, zero records were computerized. Land records were not a priority at that time. So all files were paper from messy and hard to manage. People had to search manually through large files of documents. So from 2010 to 2015, the government started a computerization program. 27.82 million records were placed into computers. So that's 15.76% of the total 171.8 million records. They use a system called LAMS, or Philippine Land Administration and Land Management System. So this made land information easier to find and safer to store. So, state of land records in 2010, files are old, messy, and damaged. Papers are stuck on top of each other, very hard to find or read records. So, but in 2015, files are now organized and colored, coded, stored neatly on shelves, easier to manage and find documents, shows the positive results of computerization. So next, we have mining regulations. It compares the before and after mining regulations were improved in the Philippines. So the upper part, environmental protection, before some important areas threatened by mining. This includes strategic agriculture and fisheries development zones and tourism development areas. So after, the government created no-go zones where mining is not allowed. Now, 84% of the country land is close to mining activities to protect the environment. So example, no-go zone in Palawan is shown on the map. So lower part, mineral agreements before 339 mineral production sharing agreements were improved. But the government only received 2% of the total mining sales. So after, in 2010, the government placed a moratorium. Next, we have geohazard assessment and mapping. This refers to the process of identifying areas vulnerable to natural hazards like landslides and floods through detailed mapping. Improvement in geohazard mapping completed in 2014, the 110 key geohazard map. So before, the government had 1.50 scale geohazard map. So the limitation, it did not provide detailed hazard information at the barangay, village, or community level. So after a more detailed 1.10 scale map was completed. So the advantages, it shows a landslide and floods risk at the barangay level, allowing for better planning and response. A map of the Philippines is shown with various color codes representing flood and landslide susceptibility. The path of Typhoon Yolanda is marked, showing relevance to disaster risk planning. Enhanced community preparedness, accurately mapping flood and landslide-prone areas. This means that with better and more detailed maps, local communities are now more informed and better prepared for disasters. So one map zooms into a more local area, showing color-coded hazard zones. So Typhoon Yolanda emphasizing the need for accurate geohazard mapping for disaster response and prevention. So next, we have Extended Continental Shelf, or ECS. On April 12, 2012, the United Nations officially approved the Philippines' claim over Benham Rice, a large undersea landmass, 13 million hectares, located at the east of Luzon. This area is now part of the country's extended continental shelf. So use of precise mapping technology in Gubat, Sorsogon, advanced mapping tools like IPSAR and topographic maps were used to accurately trace the coastline. So next, ecosystems research and development improvements. So before, forest nurseries use commercial fertilizers to grow seedlings. Traditional methods were slow and expensive, but after a plant growth booster called HIQ-VAM, a fungus that helps plant roots, was developed. It improves nutrient absorption and helps plants survive in harsh conditions. So before, traditional way of seedling production, which takes time and increases the price of seedlings. But after, modernized nurseries can now produce 1 million seedlings per day. Cost per seedling dropped from 12 pesos to 5 pesos. So let's move on to the good governance. So the DENR set up an filling and monitoring system to track illegal logging and wildlife crimes. So a total of 1,322 CCTVs were installed in DENR offices across the country for better monitoring. So they also started online permitting and monitoring for services like ECC, CNC, and COC. The anti-corruption efforts, 32 employees were removed from service, 58 were suspended, 12 were fined 1 to 3 months salary, then 418 are under investigation, 55 were formally charged, 598 were given a show cause order to ask to explain their actions. This shows DENR actions to improve transparency and fight corruption. Next, the way forward. To support climate goals, the Philippines aims to lower greenhouse gas emissions. The graph shows different scenarios. Without action, red line, emissions keep rising. With planned efforts, green lines, emissions can drop by up to 70%. And prevent going backwards. Stay alert and monitor progress closely. Push for stronger environmental laws like a total logging ban, protecting no-good zones, following Executive Order 79 regulates mining. This means the country wants to reducing pollution and protect nature by making and staying focused on climate goals. So that's the end of our topic, ma'am. Thank you for watching and God bless.